we're going to get into the first real estate headline.
Yes, sir.
Wait, what do I do with my hands again?
Just keep your hands in front of your face. Like,
You just be cool. You straight.
Yeah. Just stay in a constant state of fight or flight.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be fine.
That's how I live. That's how I live.
So, according to an article from Keep It Current Matters, it talks about how a lot of the buyers that are out right now have kind of fallen in love with this unicorn market. And what is the unicorn market? Well, let's talk about it. The article starts off by saying comparing real estate metrics from 1 year ago can be challenging in a normal housing market. That's due to possible variability in the market, making comparison less meaningful or accurate. Unpredictable events can have significant impact on the circumstances and the outcomes being compared. Comparing this year's numbers to the 2 unicorn years that we just experienced is almost worthless. This article continues to say, by unicorn, this is the less common definition of the definition of the word. Something that's really greatly desired, but pretty much difficult or impossible to find. What say you, Tony V?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the reality is, I don't have the statistics, but I was on a call yesterday with Maryland Association of Realtors, and we were referencing how the low inventory. So yeah, and they keep on doing the same thing where they're comparing it to last year, which I don't think you can do, or the last couple years. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, I think that's so. This article talks about something that's greatly desired. The pandemic profoundly changed the real estate market over the last few years. The demand for homes skyrocketed, and people needed a home, office, and big backyards because everybody was basically
trying to get away. Yeah.
Right. So they were taking the opportunity to move and also try to find houses that had like office space and enough space that they could send their kids out back and not hear them screaming while they're working.
It opened up a whole different different areas as well, where people typically wouldn't look at. Now that they have the ability to work from home, now they're like, okay, you know what, I can go further out than what my radius typically was. So
you know what's funny about that is when we talk about these 2 unicorn years, it makes me think about what was happening like prior to that, right? So when people bought the homes, and then of course 2020, 2021, 2022, those unicorn years, and then everybody had this insane desire to purchase a home, right? To say that, oh, the house that I'm in is not sufficient enough. So does that mean that when they went to actually buy the house wasn't sufficient at the time of them buying it? Right, because all of a sudden you sit at the house.
That's a good question.
Because I mean,
I think most people were just kind of looking at it as a Black Friday sale.
Correct, because the cost of money was so cheap. I mean, the interest rates were phenomenal. It's like, wait a second, I have some capital potentially in my house, right? Or I've been saving up and I got this influx that I received, from all the different stimuluses and everything. I want to be able to purchase. I have the opportunity to look at different areas, and the cost of money is so affordable. Like it makes no sense not to do it, right?
Right.
So that perpetuated what we're into right now with low inventory.
And that's exactly, I think, where we are in this market right now, especially like just the conversations that I have with, my different buyers and things like that. And then just people in the streets. It's kind of like, when you get that first hit of, a new drug, right? And you get that euphoric high. And then every single thing that you do after that is to try and chase that first high, right? And so, most of the people came of home buying age over the last 2 or 3 years. And so the market got so addicted to this 2%, infusion of cash into the market. Plus they were giving everybody EIDLs and PPP loans. And so people were flush with cash, with cheap money. And it was done intentionally because they wanted to stimulate the market. Let me ask you this though, Tony. Let's get real for a second. What do you think? Why do you think the Federal Reserve waited so long to kind of put the brakes on the interest rates and start creeping them back up, as opposed to like incrementally creeping them up? Why do you think they waited so long?
Did they though? I mean, I feel like they said that they were going to do it, and they've been doing it, consistently. And for us in our industry, obviously, we didn't want that to transpire. And every time you're like, okay, it's starting to be okay, please don't do it again. And they did it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I deal a lot with first-time home buyers, and, it's challenging for them because with that market that we were speaking of a couple years ago, you had a lot of cash heavy folks, and some people just were getting into it, and it's a really big shock when you're coming into purchasing a house and it's like, okay, I got the funds that I need for my down payment. Can we negotiate the closing costs? Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, this is right in the price point. Yeah, that's not going to sell for that price, you know? And so we became kind of like motivational speakers and coaches because it's like, okay, let me educate you on the process, but let me let you know that we're also in a hyper market where it's not going to be what it was before.
Right.
So yes, you may have the ability to qualify. You may have the capital or the funds to do so right now, but you're now competing with folks who are going to go 50K, 60K over, and they do actually have the funds. Aside from what we're trying to do, where it's like, okay, we have the money for our down payment, but we're going to need some assistance. It's not a thing. So
Right. And now I think that
I just went all over the place, and I apologize.
No, that was
It's me, Tony
exactly,
V.
dude. Your brain sounds a lot like my brain. So, the buyer demand was one of the topics they were talking about, which kind of piggybacks off what you were saying. If you look at the headlines, you think that there aren't any buyers actually even out there. We still sell over 10,000 houses a day in the United States. Of course, the buyer demand is down from the past 2 unicorn years, as they're calling it here. But according to Showing Time, if we compare it to the normal years, 2017 through 2019, we can see that the buyer activity is still strong. And so 2023, we had about 223,000. I wonder what this is per thousand.
Well, let me ask you a question based off of what you're talking about here. We're all in the market, right? We're all attempting, to service our clients. So do you feel that buyer demand is down?
Yeah, for sure. I think that. So here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it kind of break even because I'm seeing not only is buyer demand down, but there's also a lot of sellers that don't want to put their properties on the market because sellers are also buyers.
Right.
So if I sell my house, dope, but then I can't live on the street.
Where do I go?
Where do I go? And so a lot of that inventory, I think we were talking about this a few episodes ago, Marcus, which basically, I mean, this was a while earlier when it first started and everybody was thinking that there was going to be a crash and but if you really just look at the numbers and think about it for a second, rate locked homeowners is our biggest challenge right now.
Correct.
Basically them saying, you know what, I got a 2.5% interest rate and you want me to jump into a 6.5, 6.25? No, I'm good. I'll stay where I'm at.
I was talking to you about that last time. I advise, I go to listing appointments. I don't know if this is good for my business or not. Obviously it's not, but I'm saying I like to be real straightforward. And when I meet with a seller, because they did, gain some equity, right? And yeah, the opportunity now, if you could utilize that equity on the next property would be ideal in a regular market. But I talk to them and I say, hey, listen, this is what I'm looking at. The way that you have it structured right now, you're never going to be able to get that rate.
Right.
Rent the house. If you need to access the capital, let's get a HELOC and then let's purchase the second house that way. If they really want to move up, right? If that's the intent. But a lot of these folks that I talk to are just wanting to capitalize on that equity that they have. But then when you go to see, okay, I sell the property, no problem. There's no inventory. We can get multiple offers. You can get that capital out or that equity. The challenge is then now what do you do? Unless you're getting out of this area, you're going to be in a predicament because the interest rates are no longer the way they were. So you're going to end up paying more and you're going to have to utilize that funds that you're just now gaining all toward the new house. So it's really kind of like a wash and you're going to be at a higher payment, but you may have a bigger house potentially, right?
Right.
So I said, if that's the intent and if it's really necessary, let's do a HELOC instead, let's get access to that capital and then purchase your second house. Let's leave this one as a rental because that's going to be paid off in itself, and rentals, as you guys know, has gone up as well. Yeah. So this is not a good thing for a broker to say, right? Because I'm like, I want the listing, but I'd rather be honest with them.
For sure.
Everybody's not a landlord.
That's
so, like, I think us as real estate agents, we understand the business. So we always say, dude, just rent the house out. But a lot of people are like, I don't want to rent my house out. Like, I don't want to deal with tenants and the 3 T's, right? Toilets, tenants, and trash cans. Like, they don't want to have to deal with that. And a lot of people don't have the infrastructure, the patience, the know-how, the team. And so that's not an option for everybody. Just, I'm just, for some people it is. But
I think look at everything business, and I tell them that I look at it from the business perspective and economics. It just doesn't make sense, but I'll still do it if you want me to do it. I just want to be real transparent, and let you know that from my opinion, from my professional opinion, what I would do is that because you got such a great rate, and that's not going to come back.
How long you been in business?
Just starting off, so 2002, 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
You say just starting off.
yeah. I'm just starting to get my feet wet, starting to learn ins and outs.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
Yeah. And the fact that you are honest about it, I mean, you're like, look, like these are the numbers, these are the facts, but but you can't just kind of sway a person into wanting to do what you want them to do for the
Correct.
commission. You got to do
Yeah,
the right thing by the
Facts
client.
don't
So
facts don't sell. Emotions
What
do.
what I basically do is I lay it
It's
out
always
for them.
client central.
And I say, hey, listen, this is the reality. Okay, this
Yeah.
is what it is, and this is what my professional opinion would be. I still would help you. I still would do it. And there has been some folks that take me up on it and like, yeah, let's go for it. I don't really care. I really want to be able to move to XYZ, and I'm like, all right, let's do it. And there have been some folks that have taken my advice, and then there's some folks that have listed.
Yeah.
So that's why I started off with saying like, I don't know if this is good that I'm saying this or not to them, but I want to have a clear conscience when I go to sleep at night and not look for just that transaction.
Yeah.
Because that's how I do my business in general.
Absolutely.
I don't look for this transaction. I want to be my career for for many years and leave this legacy on to my children. So I don't want to do a transaction that's going to hinder me or have somebody have a bad taste in their mouth because I told them like, yeah, let's sell, and then they're going to be in a worse financial position, or not worse, but not in the best one that they.
Yeah. You don't set them up for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So all I do is just educate them.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they make the final decision, and I'll work with it regardless. But it has hindered me in two that I know that have listed with other agents, and
That's
I'm like,
the game,
okay,
man.
It is what it is,
The showing index is the chart that I was trying to read. So basically, the showing time shows how many showings are happening per. They can't see you on the podcast.
Oh no, they can. Oh, okay.
But they can see him on
They can't see
YouTube.
you on the podcast.
Oh, this is digital and audio. I got you.
Yeah. We throw it on the YouTube. So, 2017 we had 157,000 showings. 2018 166,000. 2019 155.7. 2020 it dropped to 128,000. Then in the unicorn years, 2021 and 2022 we had 271,000 showings. 284,000 showings in 2022. And then in 2023, guess what? We have 223,000 showings. So we still have more now than we did over the past 5 years, but less than the unicorn years. And so that pullback, I think we made that example. We made the example.
And we have
a while
less
ago.
inventory, which is interesting.
We have less inventory.
So
brother.
more people are looking at the same house. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's you can compare it to driving down a highway at 90 miles an hour, and then suddenly,
which was transpiring during those years, by the way.
exactly during the unicorn years,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah, and we were driving back 90 miles
It's
an hour
like,
to
there's
put
nobody on
offers
the
in. Offer deadline in 20 minutes. Get out of my way.
But the other part about the unicorn years is that we've been in this 6 to 7% interest rate environment for legit 12 months, right? So people are beginning to get it, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, they don't necessarily like it. And I think the ones that do get it, that may not necessarily like it, are still being influenced emotionally by those that are around them that did take advantage of the 2 and 3%. Because like
It's a huge
and it's hard. Like when we talk about like our jobs as realtors and lenders is not just to be able to show homes, write contracts, put them in the right loan, make sure everything goes smoothly as a team, but it's also about emotional management, some counseling, some perspective change and things like that. And people don't realize how hard of a job that that we actually do have. Because it's not because we're not giving true information and facts and compassion. A lot of times it has a lot to do with the outside sources or outside information that are impacting those that have the heart's desire to actually buy. And it makes our job that much harder sometimes. But
Articles, news articles,
social media right now.
Yeah.
So
we built for it though. I think you're built for it. I'm built for it. You are as well, Dan. And there's so many social media gurus that live in an apartment that have never invested in.
I tell clients all the time, like you got to vet these guys. Like look them up. Like I'll check their stats.
Yeah,
it's great to be online, and demonstrate something that you're not.
And they're doing it for click.
Make their money selling courses. They make money teaching you how to make
By
money.
the way, my new course, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, by the way, Lincoln
Our new course coming out, no.
Our home buying course, wholesaling course.
But I want to piggyback off what you're saying because there's a couple things I want to unpack there. Number one, I deal a lot with my Hispanic community, and this has been an issue even before all what's going on currently, where they will listen to a family member, a friend, and take it as truth, right? And they may not be able to articulate, why they were able to get that deal, what they got the deal. You can't compare the market that transpired in 2008 to now and or 2013 getting a short sale and being able to negotiate all these terms to this market. It's like, well, my friend got, oh, really? When did your friend purchase?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you start breaking it down. It's like, wait, first of all, that's not the kind of loan that they utilize at all. So
Right.
you're already in the different bucket. And second of all, the market was completely different. At that time, it was the reverse. There was not enough buyers for all the properties that were on it. You can't compare that to what we're currently going to. But when I was saying earlier about becoming like a coach and like a motivator, the reason I was saying that was because, one, you got to do what we just talked about. But more importantly, you're starting off and you're putting in an offer. And, it always kind of starts off a little bit like, no, I want this, I want that, I want the other. Then you lose that. Okay, then you start getting a little more, okay, let's remove this. Okay, to the point where you get to like a really solid offer, but you still don't win. And that's when you become a motivator. Listen, and I'm a big advocate for this. I tell this to all my clients. Your house is out there. We just have to find it.
That's for sure.
And the more important thing is when it's for you, and no one's going to be able to take it away.
I just said that 2 weeks ago.
One thing me and Mark has been working on a lot, especially educating our buyers, has been backing your way into your sales price. So one error that I see a lot of home buyers making these days is they're looking at what, let's use an example, what $500,000 used to get you 2 years ago. Because $500,000 2 years ago would cost you what? $2,500 a month, maybe at a 2 or 3% interest rate.
Right.
It was very now $2,500 now $500 probably going somewhere around 38, maybe 4, depending on your credit and the interest rate.
Would that be around there?
Here we go.
I mean, somewhere. Well, I only say that because
Can you run the numbers right?
we got somebody in that price point. But yeah, look that up, right? And so
shout out Angelo, because I ain't doing no push-ups if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So what we've been doing is we've been saying, look, how much do you want to pay per month? Well, I want to pay $1,800 a month. Bet. This is what $1,800 a month gets you. However much that is, a $350,000 house or $250,000.
There isn't anything.
No, there's a lot. But
Really?
there's tons. But the question is, where do you want to live? Now you can't say,
Oh, gotcha.
I want right. You want the holy trifecta. I want $1,800 a month for an $800,000 house in the middle of 16th Street Heights, DC.
Correct.
Well, yeah, there's nothing there for $200,000 in 16th Street Heights or Palisades.
I mean, a parking lot.
Yeah, maybe like a parking space. But them joints going for like $20,000. So
Now they went up, right?
Yeah, like $50,000. Yeah, so I mean, unless you want to live in a parking space, but like it's hard to go to the bathroom inside of a parking space. I mean, I've done it, but it's not the best. It's not the most efficient way.
I think we can make it work. No,
I mean, we Tony V.
I'm a solution based. Hashtag solution.
Hashtag solution.
So that's what we've been doing to our success is really reframing this market for our buyers and saying, look, I know you think that a $500,000 house is supposed to be this, or you think that this house is not worth 500. You think that it's worth 325. Okay, but you're not doing any comps. You're not doing any price per square foot analysis. You're not deducting for room. You're not doing it. You're not an appraiser. So for you to say that the house isn't worth that, it is worth that because that's what it's on the market for.
And the reality is that you're just that individual looking at which is fine, looking at what you need and what you want to be at. But there's other folks that are looking at it differently, right? And so when we're in the market that we're in, where there's very little inventory and there's multiple buyers, someone else might look at it differently. And so we also have to educate them on that and say, hey, listen, I get it. And I want to find you what you're asking for. Unfortunately, right now, when we're in our parameters, I don't see it.
Yeah, and I mean,
we can either expand the parameters,
exactly,
or
go further out.
We got to change our perspective of our expectations of what we're looking for.
Now, let me just tell y'all, at 3%, $500,000 property or $500,000 loan going to run you with principal, interest, taxes, and insurance and an HOA right on $2,700 a month
for a $300,000 house.
$500,000 loan.
Ooh, back in the day,
at 3%, run you about $2,700, give or take, because we don't know what the taxes or insurance, and we also haven't figured
principal and it just
we
go raw.
So we haven't factored in mortgage insurance either. But your average interest rate today might be say 6.8.
8 now?
Let's say 6.8. Now, I've been able to get some clients with better credit, like low sixes, but
at 500,000
for sure.
At 500, that 6 turns into what?
At 6.8, that payment turns it to almost $3,900.
$3,900. Now, this is the way we do it.
We're in line.
Yeah, we're about right. $3,900. Now, this is how we do it. How we've been doing it, Mark, is right. We say, how much can you afford per month? I can afford $2,500 a month hard stop because I still got to pay my bills and eat and all that. So then we run it backwards. We say, all right, what is
2,500
at 6.8?
Mm-hmm.
And then how much house can you afford on that?
Now we're at 32, so that's like, watch this, 300,000.
So that's a $300,000 house. That's where you at. So you either say, look, I'm gonna buy.
I have so many, but there's not $300,000.
There's tons of $300,000.
So check
if
this
you go to
out.
Waldorf, if you go up north to Baltimore, if you go to Olney,
The interest rates doubling almost cut your sales price or price point in half.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Nuts.
I mean, but here's the thing. It's been that way.
Correct. That's normal.
We had the 2 unicorn years, the crack years, I'll call them that, right? That's everybody.
Tying it right back in. That's
the New Jack City.
Yeah. And we keep they keep on referring back to it. It's like it's not gonna happen. Another thing that I don't know if you guys are experiencing, but we experience. Well, then I'm just gonna wait for the market to crash. Okay, I say, let me ask you this. This house at one point sold for $125,000 here in Silver Spring. Do you believe that it's ever gonna get to that 120? No, it's growing up. It's maybe not gonna grow up as much as it's been doing it recently, but I don't see it going backwards. I don't see it ever getting back to the.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, I think that kind of leads into the coach's corner here, which is leading into 1% down payment loans, which a lot of people now, and I want to hear what you got to talk about on the 1% down payment loans, because I think, like you said, Tony V, a lot of people are holding this lottery ticket, waiting for the market to crash. Meanwhile, transactions are happening. 10,000 transactions a day are happening. People buying real estate, selling real estate, and establishing wealth, jumping on the train, and other people are still sitting at the train station waiting for a better train to come. And is it going to come? I don't know. Maybe one thing that's popped up is the 1% down payment loans. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on it? Yeah, what is that, Coach?
Before I jump into that, some people, rock with Dave Ramsey, or some people do Grant Cardone. Y'all know Grant Cardone.
I'm down with all of them.
Yeah, and they all of them have some good things to say, whatever. Yeah. But if you follow that dude, he's like, man, there's no crash coming, and we've been saying it.
Dave Ramsey, yeah,
he been said it.
Yeah, and then Grant Cardone was like the other day, was like, man, there's no this, it's not gonna crash. Like, there's no crash coming.
Only people who think it's gonna crash are the people who don't know anything about real estate.
Right, and
and the cousins.
And their cousin, right.
Uncle
who bought a home in 20.
He hasn't even bought. That's a great question too. A follow-up question is like, oh great, when did he buy? Oh, he hasn't bought. And I'm like, so he's giving you advice on something that he hasn't done.
Or he bought in 1986.
Oh, he used to be an appraiser back in 1984.
He was a used car salesman. He sell life insurance, and
he was an appraiser. Yeah, for an insurance company for total vehicles. I'm like, that's not the same.
That's not the same.
That's not the same. He's like, no, he knows how to look at it.
Check out this 1% though.
He uses Zillow.
Coach's corner 1%. So on a conventional loan, the minimum required down payment is 3% for your first-time buyers. If you're a repeat buyer, your down payment required on a conventional loan is 5%. So first-time buyer, which means you have not owned a property or had zero ownership interest in a property in a 3-year time frame. That means that if you've never had a loan in your name for a mortgage or had a mortgage in your name, you're a first-time buyer. But if you are not on the loan, but you're on the deed of somebody's house, you have legal ownership of that property, and you are eliminated from first-time buyer products because you have legal ownership.
So is this a grant? Do I got to pay this back?
3% down payment. 2% of it is a grant that you never have to pay back.
Never have
to pay back. And then the 1%, forever.
Wait, what is it like Fannie Freddie, or is not?
So you go by Fannie Freddie guidelines. Gotcha. So one of the investors that I partner with, this is their internal program.
Nice. Your audience? I'm sorry to cut you off. Is your audience like what's your audience? Is it consumer, or is it
we the real estate wire squad? So we talking to buyers, sellers, investors, people who looking to up their real estate portfolio. People who looking to get into the flip game, who looking to buy, sell, and invest.
Was that too technical to ask Fannie Freddie? Would they understand that? Okay.
But they would not. They might understand Fannie
Freddie. In the DMV, like our people are local, like in the DMV. So is this conventional? Is it?
It's FHA? a conventional loan, so it's backed by Fannie Mae,
Fannie
Mae and Freddie Mac. What you think it's got to be?
I'm going to guess 640.
620.
Hey,
what are the ratios? Meaning your debt
to income ratio. So your maximum debt to income ratio follows Fannie and Freddie guidelines, which is capped out at 50%. So of course, if you got a lower credit score, then you want to have a lower debt ratio because the risk becomes too great, right? But if you have a higher credit score, again, all you need is a 620. But if you have a higher credit score, then you can go up in your debt to income ratio, get closer to
So
50%.
overcompensating factors. That can
Compensating
help you.
factors.
Seems like the 1% down payment. It seems too good to be true, Coach.
Well, sometimes it can be, right?
What's the catch?
Now, there are income restrictions, right? So what they do, but Home Ready, Home Possible, which is backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they have the income restrictions. And what we look at is the area median income. So I took some time to research what area median income would be. And that just means like the average income in certain areas. The area median income in this DMV area is like $140,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can only, for this program, you can only make 80% of that. But that means that 80% of that is about $112,000.
So as long as you don't make more than
Like 112,000.
you have to make
Within a
under
specific area. that
Make
you're-
under
you're-
right. So
112.
whatever area you have to look at the area.
So
mean
I
income.
looked at Charles County. I looked at DC.
Where do you get
I
the
looked-
data? Is it something that has to be specific, or can you say?
Where do I get
ran-
that data about the income?
Yeah, can I say like, Tony V's website says that the medium income, and then use that?
You probably can't do that, but you can go to like the Home Ready and Home Possible eligibility
They have
websites.
okay.
They'll tell you. All you do is you pull it up, put in the address. You can even put in the city, and that city will tell you the average median or the median income in this area. So I looked up Waldorf, I looked up Accokeek, I looked up DC, Alexandria, even like Warrenton.
What'd you come up with?
$140,000.
Okay, got it.
80% of that is $112,000. So if you're in the Prince George's, Montgomery, Fairfax,
Howard.
Charles County, like you know what I'm saying, like in this DMV area, your income maximum is $112,000 for this program. Now here's the thing that, and it's on 1-unit properties only. You got to occupy the property as your primary residence, but not only do you have the debt ratio restriction, which every loan program has, you have the income restriction. But here's the thing that a lot of people are not telling. When you're advertising this mortgage product, they look at it, they say, we're going to give you a 2% grant or the lesser of $4,000, right? So
Keep going.
so check this out.
You like that?
Yeah, thank you.
So check this out. 3% down payment is on a $200,000 property
Mm-hmm.
is $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
That person needs to pay $6,000. I'm going to cover 2% of that on the grant. That's the $4,000. They pay the $2,000 and they come 2 plus
So the
4 is
max of the grant is $4,000.
$4,000 or 2%, whichever is lower.
What? Oh wait, what? That's weak.
It's not weak
Why it's not weak? That's weak.
because
Always fine print.
so the thing, right, it's the fine print.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you're selling homes in Baltimore, you're selling homes in other places that may have a little bit lower, and it's a nationwide available program. So you find, okay, well, I'm a first-time buyer. We're already looking at interest rates. Maybe you're not going to be able to afford a $600,000 property anyway. So you're bringing it down, and we'll say we'll give you
So
a grant.
let's say 400,000.
3% is
so-
$12,000.
3 is 12. So you're only getting 8,
No, you can get
Because-
4
but you're getting 4 off. So you got to bring 8.
because 2% of 400,000 is $8,000.
Right. So you got to bring 8.
No, you got to bring 4 because the program was not going to give you 2%. They're not going to give you $8,000. Going to give you the maximum of $4,000.
Right. So
So 2% or $4,000, whichever is lower.
2% or $4,000. So they're only going to give you $4,000
So it's basically $4,000.
off of the $12,000 that you're supposed to bring.
The maximum money, right? The
So
maximum
then you have
money.
to bring $8,000 to the table for your down payment because they're not going to give you the full
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
2% credit.
Right,
They're only going to
right.
give you $4,000.
Right. So
So you got to bring 8.
Do you do graphics? Can you put graphics like
I
little?
could put like a little halo around.
No,
your
no,
head.
but like
Yeah.
putting even numbers like all jumbled up
or
when you're doing that because I'm like
if that's what you want, we can put it in there. We
Yeah.
take special requests.
Yeah.
Tony
It's
V.
NCI. So
just like what?
So UWM is who I partnered with. This is a United Wholesale Mortgage Program. We came out with it, and then Rocket came out with it, and then Rocket kind of we would sweeten the pot, and then Rocket, it's this back and forth thing.
Right. I mean, that's the beauty of capitalism. It's the competitiveness in the market. When it's not super regulated.
But it's got to be,
another
but
podcast.
it's got to be fully disclosed. So this program is super sweet. Now I can close it in 15, 21 days, which most of your down payment programs or those assistance programs take 30, 45 days.
45, yeah.
Mhm.
So the money can be there. It's a grant. You don't have to pay it back up to $4,000 or 2%, whichever is lower. 620 credit score. There is mortgage insurance, of course, if you're not putting down 20%, but the PMI or mortgage insurance is cheaper in this program because it's based through Fannie and Freddie with the Home Ready, Home Possible.
That's exciting,
Who,
man.
who would need this? Who would benefit from this?
I think your first time buyers that are
Okay.
looking in areas that the sales prices are not what you see in this in this the immediate DMV
Right.
area. So, let's say Baltimore, because you can get we got under contracts
Yeah.
from a couple places, 150, 200,000, get you something good in
Hagerstown,
Baltimore.
maybe
Probably.
Frederick,
Salisbury.
Yeah. You
Waldorf.
just go out a little bit on the outskirts,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and that's that sums up everything we talk about, which is like you're either gonna pay more or go out further.
Yeah.
That's it. And I mean, that's pretty much, especially when you live, in a like a near a metropolitan area like a DC and Miami or something like that. There's always going to be these outskirts, these what they call secondary markets that are going to be less expensive. That are still going to be good. You're still be close to the city.
I love that. I mean,
but if you in these types of markets, we have to think of real estate as a long-term game, right?
Absolutely.
So if you think, all right, I'm gonna move out here, grab me some real estate real quick while things is hot. The prices is a little hot. I'm gonna move out further, and then once I build my equity, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then you're moving closer. You're moving a little bit closer.
baby steps. That's a great strategy.
It's baby steps.
But a lot of folks, unfortunately, with everything that's transpiring, they want the forever home now.
Yeah,
right.
they want
On the
they
first
want
one.
they
It's
want the
like-
dream home. They don't want to settle. It's like, everybody's settling. $2 million people who can buy $2 million houses, they want $5 million houses.
Yeah.
They're settling. Everybody's settling. I can't get everything that I want. Like,
Yeah,
we all can't afford everything.